Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn. In a couple weeks, we're going to be talking about the smoking epidemic in the gay community. It struck me as being something very unusual to talk about, and we'll be talking about some initiatives that are on the books for that in the next few weeks here on Late Night Health. Right now, we've got Dr. Felicia Stoler. She is a doctor of nutrition. She is a nutritionist. She's an exercise physiologist. I'm reading it and I can't say it. Don't try this at home. Has a master's degree, a registered dietitian, and probably argues with her mother about her brisket recipes all the time. Felicia, let's talk about genetic predisposition. I hear this all the time. I'm really not fat, but my genes make me this way.
You're right.
I always say buy a bigger pair.
That was sort of the whole tongue-in-cheek notion of my book, that there was a cartoon that I once saw at a professional conference where, you know, the doctor's sitting across from the patient saying, "Hey, doc, fat genes run in my family," and the doc says, "Nobody in your family runs." You know.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
I would imagine that there are some people who do have that problem, but that most people don't.
You know, here's what I will say, and that I can say pretty confidently, that the environment has an incredible amount of impact on that. And by the environment, I don't mean like the air that we breathe. I mean, it's the way you were brought up. It's your habits and behaviors over an accumulation of a lifetime. What our genes look at is our genetic makeup, right? So in terms of how much muscle mass can we achieve, how much bone density are we going to have. Maybe we might have an ailment where maybe we're not going to, our hormones may not work right, or there just may be something sort of off with our organ function that might be a little bit different in terms of our genes, right? Like our predisposition for certain diseases. But I look at my family and I look at heart disease in my family, and I can say that it wasn't so much about it being in our genetic makeup as much as it's about the lifestyle that my family members had. We know a lot more about physical activity and exercise now than people did 50 or 100 years ago. The types of food that people eat, right? We know much more about the relationship between dietary food intake and disease predisposition or risk. And so I think that's, really where we, and that's not to say that if you have bad genes, you're doomed. I mean, that's part of why I got into this field in my late 20s. It's my third career, is that, I knew that I had a family history of heart disease and obesity, and I didn't want to be that. And, I'm not just looking at it in terms of like how I look. I know in terms of my lab work, my doctors always tease me that I'm like the healthiest patient that they have because I've worked really hard to sort of delay having to take medications that my other family members need to take.
And at the same time, there's some new research that says that eating fat may not make you, may actually help you maintain weight.
Right. Well, because fat provides satiety. It also, we need fat in our diet. The dietary guidelines have changed even since I've been in my field, where we've increased what would be considered the optimal amount of fat that is permitted in the diet, although I think some people have taken it to the extreme. But, we're looking at things like essential fatty acids, so the fatty acids found in nuts and seeds and fish oil and avocados, like those are good for you fats. Looking across different types of oils, there's a lot of tropical oils that have become very popular. We know coconut oil, palm fruit oil is out there. And the thing, too, if we can talk about, too, is I just want to talk about not demonizing carbohydrates, because that's the other side of it, that people love to demonize carbohydrates, and it's really more of an American phenomenon. You look across the globe, and starchy carbohydrates are the foundation of most cultural diets. So, with the exception of Native Americans, we've all come from someplace else. So, people are eating, bread, they're eating grains, rice, they're eating pasta.
Right.
But that is what other cultures eat. The challenge is in America, we supersize everything. We eat a lot of it. And I want people to feel good about eating those foods. You should be choosing whole grains, and you should be eating moderate portions. But, hey, let's face it, we were talking about fasting before, and, somebody might go to a break fast and want to overindulge on some, kugel and bagels tomorrow. So I recommend that, folks consider, that know that maybe they're having a tough time. Like I gave the example before about going to the movies and eating a large bucket of popcorn. Consider using something like a carb blocker, something like an ingredient called phase 2, which helps to basically inhibit the absorption of starchy carbohydrates. So for people that take that before a meal, research shows that they can decrease almost 65% of the carbohydrate being actually absorbed into the bloodstream. So basically, you're burning calories just like moving it from your mouth all the way through your GI tract to the other end. So,
well, when we have another holiday coming up, we should talk about holiday foods.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Anytime, I promise.
All right, good deal. Hold on a second. Our guest, Felicia Stoler, the author of Living Skinny in Fat Genes. You can find out more about her by going to FeliciaStoler.com or go to latenighthealth.com. Her picture will be there. There's an article. And, of course, our interviews will be there if you want to listen to it that way. Thank you very much for joining us, Felicia. We will talk again soon. All right, coming up next, Tara Wellington, the editor-in-chief of SimpleMomsGuide.com. Don't go away. More coming up.